This conference will now be recorded.
I have shared my screen, you can see, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so today we will start with SCD type 2. Okay, so in the data warehouse class we discussed about in SCDs there are three types of SCDs: SCD type 1, SCD type 2. SCD means slowly changing dimension, right? So in SCD type 1 we have seen different scenarios to maintain the latest data or current data in the target table. Okay, so this SCD type 2 is for to maintain the historical data in the target. To maintain the historical data in the target table. Okay, so we'll see how to create an S3 type 2 mapping to maintain the historical data in the target table. So for this, there are different types of approaches to maintain the historical data. The first approach is effective data approach. Okay, and the second approach is version approach, and the third one is flag approach. So these are the three types of approaches we have to maintain the historical data in the target table. Even though we have these three types of approaches, 99% of the companies uses effective data approach. Okay, so version and flag very rare we use to maintain the historical data. So most of the companies are using effective data approach. Okay, so what is effective data approach? How we will maintain the historical data by using the effective data approach, that we will discuss. Okay, so here first we have a source table like this: emp underscore scd 2 underscore s source table, employee number, employee name, address. We have a data like this. Okay, so for the first time we have the data like this, and then target table. Here we will not be creating the primary key on employee number. So here we will have another column called serial number. Okay, or another column name. So on this serial number column we can have the primary key constraint. Okay, serial number, we can have the primary key constraint. Okay, and then because why we will not create a primary key on employee number means in a SCD type 1 scenario we created the primary key on employee number. Okay, so in SCD type 1 we created the primary key on employee number. Okay, because there for each and every employee we maintain only one record. Okay, there in SCD type 1 we maintain only one record for each employee, whereas here in SCD type 2 for each and every employee we should have to maintain multiple records because we have to maintain full history. Okay, and then apart from this we should have effective start date, effective end date columns, right? So in effective date approach, apart from the source columns we should have effective start date and effective end date columns. So ESD means effective start date, EED means effective end date. So these columns should be there. Okay, so here while loading the data from source to target table, okay, for these three columns data will get from the source. The employee number, employee name, address will get from the source, and then serial number we have to populate with the sequence values, like for the first record 1, second record 2, third record 3, fourth record 4. So like that here we have to populate the sequence values. Because we have a primary key column here, we should not allow, it will not allow to insert the duplicate values. Okay, so serial number means like here we have to populate the sequence values. Okay, and then employee number, employee name, address will get from the source. Effective start date column, here we should have to populate with the system date, and the effective end date column we have to populate with the future date. So whenever we insert the record from source to target table, whenever we insert the record from source to target table, so effective start date should be sysdate, and effective end date should be future date. So for future date we have to use to underscore date function whenever we have a date to insert. So we have to write like this. So here, okay, so 31st December 9999, comma, and here we have to write, okay, dd/mm/yyyy. So in the effective date column, whenever we insert the source record into the target table, effective start date should be system date, effective end date should be, so we have to insert this date, 31st December 9999 future date record, we should have to insert in the effective end date. So whenever we have a date to insert, so we already discussed we have to use to underscore date function. Okay, so like that we should have to insert the record inside the target table. Okay, now let's say we have created mapping session workflow, everything, and we have started execution. As soon as we start execution of our mapping, so here, so first we have to populate the sequence values like one for the first record one, and since the source record does not exist, we should have to insert the source record into the target table. Effective start date should be system date. So sys date 9/21/2022, and then in the end date column we have to populate the future date. So future date means like as I told you, 31st December 9999. So here system date 9/21/2022. So like that the system date here we should have to load end date, always it should be a future date whenever we insert the record into the target table. Next, second record employee number 20 record also does not exist. Employee number 20 record also we should have to insert. Okay, so for the second record here we have to populate the sequence number 220 B PLR, and here we have to insert like this. Next, for the third record also does not exist, we should have to insert employee number 30 record. For that here we have to generate sequence value 3 for the third record, 30 C CNI, and this one. Okay, so like that for the first time, none of the record present in the target table. For the first time, we had all the three records from source to target. So like that, whenever we insert the record from source to target table, we should have to load the effective start date should be system date, effective end date should be future date. Okay, just give me 1 minute, I'll be back. So like that, while loading data from source to target table, we should have to insert the source record into the target table. While inserting, effective start date should be system date, and effective end date should be future date. Okay, so this is how we have to insert the record. So since for the first time we have loaded all the record from source to target table, Since for the first time we have inserted all the records from source to target table, this is called full load. Okay, so here we have three records. Even though you have 3 million records in the source table, for the first time, so none of the 3 million records will be there in the target table. So for the first time, target table will be zero records, right? It will have zero records. So for the first time, all the records we should have to insert from source to target table. Doesn't matter you have 3 records or 3 million records or 30 million records also you have. For the first time, you should have to insert all the records from source to target. So this is called full load. So for the first time, we will be inserting all the records from source to target, and this is called full load. Okay, fine. Next, first time inserted successfully. Now second time if we execute second run. So before we execute second run, let's say here this employee moved HYD to USA. Before we execute second run, so this employee moved HYD to USA on September 25th. Okay, let's say we have got an update on September 25th. Okay, assume today's date is September 25th. Okay, now if we execute this mapping on September 25th, so it should have to take the source employee number, check in the target table whether the source employee number exists or not. So this time, do we have the source employee number exist or not? Yes, it exists. So if the source employee number exists in the target table, okay, so here it should have to compare between source and target record. Is there any change between source and target record? Yes, there is a change. In source, we have got the latest address, whereas in the target, we have the old address, HYD. If this is the SRE type 1, we take the source address and we update the address here. If this is SRE type 1, we update the address HYD with USA. Got it? So here we update the address with USA. Okay. So now, but since this is SRE type 2, we are not going to update the address here in the target table. So if we are going to update the address HYD with USA here, then we are going to lose the history. Okay, so in S3 type 1, we updated the HYD with USA, but here we are not going to update HYD with USA. So what we are going to do here is, if the source record already present in the target table, and if there is a change between source and target table, first we have to update active record effective end date with sys date to make it inactive. Okay, so this is the first point, and then we have to insert source latest updated record into target table. Okay, so whenever there is a change between source and target record, we have to update the end date with the system date to make the record is inactive. Now here we have the source record already present. What we have to do, so we have to update the effective end date with the system date. So this effective end date for this record, we have to update with the system date to make the record as inactive. So system date means, since we are executing this on 9/25, the sys date will be like this. So once it is updated with the system date, this record will become inactive record. We call this as a inactive record. And then the second point, insert the source latest updated record. This is the source latest updated record. This record we have to insert into the target table 4, 10, okay, and then A, USA, and 9/25, 2022, and then okay, so and then here 31st December 9999. Since we are inserting this, we should have to load as a system date, and this we should have to load as a future date. So this is how we have to insert the record into the target table. And for the second and third record, there is no change in the target table. So we just have to leave that record as it is. Second time after successful of the execution, you can expect these records in the target table. Got it? Now for employee number 10, we have two records. Out of two records, so whichever the end date is having the system date, that is the inactive record, and for whichever the record we have a future date, this is called active record because currently actively he is in USA from 9/25. That is the reason we have the active record, and we are not sure how long he will stay in USA. That is the reason we have the end date as a future date here. Okay, so like that, now we have two records for this employee. So one is with inactive, the other second one is active record. Okay, next. Two times we have executed our mapping till now. First time, none of the records present in the target table. First time, all the records inserted. Second run, during the second run, we updated one record in the source table. Okay, and then we have executed. Second time, it has updated the active record end date with the system date to make the record inactive, and then it has inserted the source latest updated record into the target table. Okay, and for the second and third record, there is no change, no insert, no update. Fine, two times we have executed successfully. Third time, in the third run, before we execute third time, let's say for the same employee number, we have got another update here, which is UK on 9/30. Okay, let's say this employee moved to UK on September 30. Okay, so if this since this employee moved to UK on September 30, so third time we are going to execute our mapping. Third time we are going to execute our mapping. So third time, as soon as we start execution of our mapping, it will take the source employee number 10 and it will check in the target table whether the source employee number 10 exists or not. So here we have two employee number 10, the first record and the fourth record. Now, while checking when it started execution at third time, so with which employee number it should have to compare between source and the target, whether is there any change or not. Out of two records, first record and fourth record, so with which record it should have to compare between source and the target, is there any change between source and target or not? Any guess?
Active record.
Active record. Which is the active record out of these two?
USA, address is USA.
Right, that is the active record. Got it? Clear? So how about the first record? First record is inactive record, right? Okay, so first record is inactive record for that employee and fourth record is active record. I repeat, so when we started execution at third time, it should have to take the source employee number 10 and it should have to check in the target table whether the source employee number 10 exists or not. We have two times employee number 10. Out of these two records, it should have to look for the active record. So inside the active record, is there any change between source and target record? Yes. In source we have UK, whereas active record address is USA. There is a change. So if the source record already present in the target table, and if there is a change between source record and the active record in the target table, then we have to go for update. Okay, we should not touch the inactive record. So we just have to leave the inactive records. Always we have to compare between source and the active record in the target table. So for whichever the record end date is a future date, that record we called it as an active record. Okay, since there is a change, now we have to go for update the active record end date with the system date to make the record as inactive. Now tell me, in these two records, which record effective end date we have to update here? Do we have to update the serial number 1 or 4? Which record end date we have to update with the system date here?
Number 4.
Number 4, right? So number 4 is the active record. So this record end date we have to update with the system date to make the record as inactive. That's the reason if you read the point here, I have mentioned always we have to update the active record end date, not the inactive record. So active record end date we have to update with the system date. So here we call this as the active record. The active record, now the system date is, since we are running this mapping on 9:30, so this is like this, we have to update here the active record, and then insert the second point, insert the source latest updated record into the target table. So okay, so 5, 10, A, UK, and the system date 9/30/2022, and then here system date 31st December 9999. Like this we have to insert. Now for second and third record there is no change, no insert, no update. We just have to leave those two records as it is. Now you can see we have total 5 records in the target table. Out of that, 3 records are belongs to employee number 10. Out of 3 records, how many active records we have in the target table for employee number 10, and how many inactive records are there? Any idea for employee number 10? How many active and how many inactive are there?
Active 1 and inactive 2.
Right? So we have only one active record. This is the active record. Always, even though there are hundreds of records for employee number 10, out of hundreds of records at a time, there will be only one active record. Okay, and rest all are inactive records. For each and every employee will have, okay, so we'll have at a time only one active record, and the other records are inactive records. Okay, so like that we have to maintain the historical data. Now you can see for employee number 10, from day 1 to till date, we have all the transaction records here. He was there in HYD in this period, and then he moved to USA. He was there in USA from 9:25 to 9:30, and then he moved to UK, and from 9:30 onwards he is there in UK, and we don't know how long he will stay in UK. That's the reason we have the end date, future date. So like that, do we have the full history for employee number 10 or not? Yes. So from day 1 to till date, we have all the transaction data belongs to employee number 10 in target table. So like that, we maintain the history in the target table. This is called historical data. Whereas in SCD type 1, in the source, if it is a UK, here also you will have the UK. You will not find the HYD and USA record. Whatever the data present in the source, same as it is, you can see in the target table in SCD type 1. But since this is SCD type 2, we are going to maintain each and every transaction record in the target table from day 1 to till date, because here we are going to maintain the historical data. Got it? So that's all. So this is how we have to maintain the history. Okay, now I have explained the scenario. Can you please let me know what are the transformations we have to create in this mapping? So starts with the source qualifier transformation, and what other transformations we have to create in this mapping to implement the history like this? Any guess?
As we are using insert and update, we have to use a router transformation.
Yes, so we have to use a router transformation because we have to create two groups, one for insert group, the other one for update group, to write two conditions. So we have to create router transformation in this mapping. Okay, what other transformations we have to create?
And one more transaction control transformation.
Wait. No, why transaction control transformation is required? What is the purpose of using transaction control?
Oh, no, sorry. If the variable is there, then we can use transaction. There is no variable, no?
Not the variable. Transaction is not for variable. Transaction is for to execute the commit during the execution or to generate the dynamic files. We are not executing the commit during the execution here, or we are not using the generating the dynamic files. Transaction is for only those two purpose, to execute the commit and to generate the dynamic files. So we are not doing those two here. Okay, next, what other transformation?
Expression.
Okay, expression transformation. Why expression transformation is required?
Update the date.
Update the date is the wrong answer.
To populate system date and user date.
Yeah, to write the sysdate function. So for the functions, we use expression transformation. Okay, to populate this effective starter date with the system date and effective end date, we have to write to underscore date function. Right, since those two are the functions, we need to create expression transformation in our mapping to write those two functions. Okay, next, others, please unmute and give the answer. Don't keep quiet. Others can give the answer now.
Sequence generator transformation, since we have to generate sequence numbers.
Yes, perfect. So we also have to use sequence generator transformation because in the serial number column, we have to load the sequence values for the first record, one second record, two third record, three fourth record, four fifth record, five, like that. Okay, so these serial number column values we are not getting from the source. That's the reason in our mapping we have to create sequence generator transformation to get the sequence values under serial number column. Okay, next. What other transformations?
Joiner transformation.
Okay, why joiner transformation is required? What is the purpose of joiner transformation? Why joiner? Tell me why joiner. When we use joiner, what is the purpose of joiner? Joiner we use to join the tables if they are from different users or different databases. Here, these two tables are not from different databases or different schemas. So we cannot use join, no need to use of joiner here. Okay, next, quickly, others
Okay,
can
so
give the
yeah,
answer. Parag, Ronak, Elaya, any idea what other transformations we have to create? Alim, Bharat, please unmute and give the answer. So we are not discussing this for the first time. So transformations I am asking from whatever we have discussed till now. So if you have practiced the previous session, whatever I have given, then you would be able to give the answer very easily without here. There is nothing to think. Okay. Similar type of mapping we have already created, and we know what is the purpose of each and every transformation.
filter transformation.
Filter, why filter?
This transaction is using filter data.
What is filter? Why we use filter?
Using filter. Forget.
So that means you didn't practice filter transformation. You don't know what is filter transformation. Even though you have created the mapping for the filter, it is no use whatever you have practiced.
I'm sorry.
So filter transformation is for to write a single condition. You should know the definition of each and every transformation. You should not forget the definition of the transformation. Filter transformation is for to write a single condition. But here we have to write two conditions, one for insert, the other one for update. So for two conditions, we cannot use filter transformation. We have to create a router transformation to write two condition. That's the reason here I have already mentioned. We have to create a router.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll not use filter. So if you have two condition, then you have to create router transformation. Okay, next, what other transformations?
Lookup transformation.
Okay, lookup transformation. Why the lookup transformation is required?
To check whether source record present target table or not.
Perfect. So to check whether the source record exists or not inside the target table, we will be creating the lookup transformation on the target, so that if the lookup returns the null value, that means the source record does not exist. If the lookup returns not null, then the source record already present. Based on the lookup return values, we will be deciding like which source record needs to insert into the target table and which source record needs to update in the target table. So that is the reason we need lookup transformation. Okay, so we already created similar type of mapping in SRE type 1. We already discussed about the lookup transformation. There we already created the lookup on the target table, right? So multiple scenarios I explained. I'm not sure why you don't remember. Okay, next, which transformation? This is one of the real-time scenarios, and this is 100% interview question regarding SRE type 2. Okay, and in real time also, every project you will see this is city type 2 mapping. Okay, so the difference between here and the real time is only the data. Here I'm explaining this with 3 records. In real time you'll have 3 million or 4 million or 5 million records. Doesn't matter you have 3 million or 4 million or 30 million. There also you'll be using same transformations. Okay, same type of mappings you are going to create. Yeah, tell me quickly what other transformation is required. So whatever mappings you have created, you have to remember the purpose of creating the mappings, and you should have to question yourself 100 times why we have created this mapping, why we have created expression in this mapping, why we have created router in this mapping, why we have created sequence generator in this mapping. Like that, in a mapping, you should have to get 100 questions. Okay, so if you can question yourself, and if you have the answers for all your 100 questions, okay, then you will get more confident, and you will never forget in your life once you learn any subject, not only Informatica, in any subject. So you should have to question yourself, why we have this one, why do we have the full stop here, why do we have the comma, why do we have to semicolon? So if you don't put semicolon, then what will happen? If you don't full stop here, then what will happen? Like that, for each and every character, for each and every letter, you should have to question yourself, why, what, how. Okay, if you have the answers for those questions, then yes, you will not be able to forget in your life once you remember. Without questioning yourself, simply if there is a mapping which I explained, and by watching the recording, if there lookup transformation, okay, here also you create lookup transformation. Their router, okay, here also you create a router. Their sequence generator, okay, here also created sequence generator. You don't know what is the purpose of creating, because it is there in the video recording. Here you have created. Like that, if you practice 100 times, it's no use. After 100 times also, you don't know what is lookup, you don't know what is router, you don't know what is sequence generator, why you have created sequence generator. So like that, if you practice 100 times, also no use, and you will not get the job. Okay, because in interview they will be asking the questions, what, why, how, right? So you can't say that no, it was there in the recording, that's why I have created the lookup. You can't say like that. So you should have to give the answer. Lookup I have created to know whether the source record exists or not inside the target table. So like that, you should have to question yourself and you should have the answer for that. If you don't have the answer, list down all the questions and you can call me anytime, or you can take the photo and send me in WhatsApp. I will answer for all your questions. Okay, so like that you should have to prepare. So if you prepare like that, I'm sure in the first interview itself you will get the job. Simply by watching the recording and without understanding, if you create, it's no use. Try to remember the things and try to question yourself for each and every transformation. What is the purpose, why we have created? And you should not have one word answer. You should have to frame the sentence, complete sentence you should have. Okay, and one word answers are not going to help. Okay, fine. Tell me what other transformations we have to create here apart from this?
Update strategy.
Yeah, update strategy transformation. Why update strategy transformation is required?
To update a
What is
specific records from target table in a target table.
to update specific records is the wrong answer. 50% correct and remaining wrong.
Sir.
To update records or columns. What I explained. What we have when we use update strategy.
To update specific column.
Records. Sorry, sir. Columns.
You can read here. When we use update strategy to update specific records or columns. Columns. Right? So we update specific columns. Which column we are going to update here?
Ended.
Which specific column? We have so many columns. Which specific column we are going to update here?
Effective end date.
Effective end date. Here I have written clearly update effective record, active record effective end date with the system date. So update means which transformation we have to create. We created so many times this update strategy. Here in mapping level update else insert, I have explained update strategy, and then lookup update else insert, I have explained update strategy, and dynamic lookup also I explained update strategy to update the specific column, right? So like that, many scenarios we have created. Still you don't know what is update strategy, right? Without thinking, you should have to give the answer by seeing this. Okay, here we are talking about updating the end date. So to update the end date, which transformation? Update strategy transformation. Okay, so to update the specific columns, which transformation? Update strategy. Okay, next. So like that, before you create a mapping, you have to decide the transformations. And you should know why we are creating this transformation. So now here update strategy we create to update the end date with the system date. Only for that purpose we will be creating update strategy transformation in our mapping. Okay, any other transformation required? Okay, that's it. These are the transformations we have to create. Okay, and this is also 100% interview question. Every interview they will ask, tell me what are the transformations you have created in your project in SCD type 2 mapping. That is the 100% interview question. You have to answer in this order only, whatever the order I have written here, like source qualified transformation, lookup transformation, expression, router, sequence generator, update strategy. In this order only you have to answer. You should not start with the update strategy. You should not start with the router transformation, even though if you are going to tell all these list of transformations, okay, in different order, no use, wrong answer. Okay, you have to tell in this order only, in the mapping, in whichever the order we are going to create. So if they ask about list of transformations which you have created in the mapping, you have to tell in that order only. In real time also, in this order only, these transformations only we will be creating. Got it? So this is very important interview question. The transformations which we have used inside the update start is inside the SCD type 2, and you should know the answer for each and every transformation. Then they will ask, tell me why you have used lookup transformation. Then they will ask, tell me why you have used update strategy here. So like that, they may ask the questions again. Okay, fine. So by implementing all these transformations, we will create a mapping here. I will draw the mapping. So first we have to import the source definition and target definition. So this is our source definition. Here we have employee number, employee name, address. Then for this we will have the source qualifier transformation. This is our source qualifier, and then we will have the target definition. Okay, so this is target definition. Inside the target definition we have a serial number, employee number, employee name, address, effective start date, effective end date, right? So like that we have the columns in the target definition. Okay, so after that we have to create a lookup transformation. So after source qualifier, see in this order only I'm going to create. Next we are creating the lookup transformation here to join source with the target table and to know whether the source record exists or not. So this is the lookup transformation. Lookup transformation will have the lookup table ports, serial number, employee name, address, effective start date, effective end date, and from the source we have to drag and drop the joining column. So which is employee number is the joining column. So like that we should have lookup transformation. Okay, so as soon as we drag and drop this employee number, ENO1 will be created. After that we have to add the join condition. ENO is equal to ENO1, right? This is the join condition. And then after lookup transformation we have to create expression transformation to write the functions for the create effective start date and effective end date. So here this is the expression transformation. Okay. So to this expression transformation, from the lookup we have to copy the key column, primary key column, which is SNO. Serial number is the primary key column, and the address. Only those two are required because we will be using these two in the lookup conditions. And then employee number, source employee number, source employee name, and the address one. And then effective start date underscore O, effective end date underscore O. Right? So like that we have to drag and drop the ports from the lookup like this, serial number, address, not all the ports required. So whatever we will be using in the router condition, insert and update, only those ports we have to drag and drop here. In the SCD type 1 we copied employee number and address, but here employee number we will not have the primary key, we have the primary key on serial number. That's the reason we have to take that SNO. So like that we will be drag and dropping here, and then in these two output ports in the effective start date you have to write this timestamp function. Okay, you know how to write. And then effective end date underscore O, here we have to write this to date function. And then from expression transformation we have to copy all these ports and we have to drag and drop to the router transformation. Okay, so this is router transformation. And then from expression we have to copy all the ports to the router, and inside the router we have to create two groups, one for insert, the other one for update. This is insert group and then update group. Okay, and then we'll have the default group also. Okay, so we'll not be using the default group, just we have to connect like this. So after expression, here I have created the router. Inside the router we'll have this insert group, and then we'll have the update group, and then the default group. Serial number to the serial number, address to the address, and employee number to the employee number, employee name to the name. Once we drag and drop, all these things will be there. Effective start date to start date, end date to end date, like this. And then after router transformation, we have to create sequence generator. So here we have the sequence generator transformation. Okay, so we have the sequence generator here next to the router. Inside the sequence generator, we will have the start value, next value and current value. These two ports will be there inside the sequence generator. Okay, and then from next value, you have to connect to the serial number. Okay, and then here from source employee number to employee number, we have to connect employee name to the employee name, address to the address. Directly if you connect, it will insert. Okay, so effective start date to the start date, effective end date to the end date. Like that we will be creating the mapping. Okay, so let me delete everything here from the target table. And for the first time here we have the address as HYD. Okay, so with this we have created, assume we have created mapping session workflow everything, and we have to create update start as the end run. That we'll see before we execute second run. Okay, so let's say with this we have created mapping session workflow everything, and we have started execution. Fine. So as soon as we start execution of the mapping, first there is a lookup transformation in the mapping. Lookup transformation will create a static cache. So tell me with how many records the static cache will be created?
0 records.
0 records, because we have created the lookup on the target. So that's the reason static cache will be created with 0 records. So all the columns will be there from the lookup table. Okay, so like that the static cache will be created. After creating the static cache, from the source it will read the first record 10A HYD, right? First 10 it will pass to the lookup transformation. As soon as lookup receives the input value 10, it will start looking for the matching value inside the cache under employee number column, right? So do we have the matching value? No. If there is no matching value, lookup transformation, all these columns SNO null, ENO null, employee name null, address null, effective start date, end date, all these column values are null, and the same it will pass to the expression transformation, expression to the router. Now tell me what are the values at router transformation? For the first record, what is the SNO value here?
Null values.
Null. And what is the address?
Address also null.
Address also null. What is the ENO here?
10.
This is coming from the source, it is 10. What is employee name? A. What is the address? HYD coming from the source. Effective start date, system date, which is 9/21. Effective end date, future date, 31st December 9999 date will be there. So these are the values at router transformation. These values it will pass to the below groups. In insert group, we have to write a condition is null of serial number, which is lookup employee number is null, then we have to insert. In update group, we have to write a condition not is null of SNO serial number, and address source address not equal to address 1. So like that we have to write a condition in update group. Okay, so now this is update group condition and this is insert group condition. So why do we have to write this condition? We know already. Similar conditions we have also written in SCD type 1, okay, to decide whether the source record exists or not. Now, for these values, which group condition will satisfy? Is it insert or update?
That condition will satisfy.
Which one?
Insert condition.
Insert. Why insert?
We have to insert the,
Why insert condition will satisfy? Why not update?
we have to insert the serial number and address.
Is null of SNO is satisfied. Condition is satisfied.
Correct.
That's why we are.
That's the answer. Yeah. So not the SNO null. Here you can see in insert group we have is null of SNO. SNO we have got null. So condition also we have written is null of SNO. So that is the reason insert group condition will satisfy. Got it? Okay. So if insert group condition satisfies, it will try to insert the record into the target table. So here in the sequence generator, you have to set the start value 1 and increment by 1. So if you set start value 1 and increment by 1 in sequence generator, for the first record, it will start generating the sequence value 1. Okay. And then, so from insert group directly we have connected this ENO, ENA, HYD, all these values it will pass to the target. Start date system date 9/21 and this is 31st December 9999. Okay, in effective end date, you have tried this function, toDate function, so that we will get the date like this in the target table. So first record inserted successfully. Next, the second record, 20, employee number 20. So employee number 20, it will pass to the lookup. Lookup will look for matching value 20 here. Do we have 20 here? No. Since there is no 20 here, then again, all the lookup transformation ports returns the null value. Lookup SNO is null. Since the lookup SNO is null, again for the second record, which group condition will satisfy? Insert or update?
Insert.
Insert.
Again, insert group condition will satisfy. Okay, so insert group condition will satisfy 220B BLR and it will be inserted like this. Next third record 30 CCNI 30 it will pass to the lookup. Lookup will look for matching value. Again 30 also not there inside the cache. Okay, so again all the lookup transformation ports returns the null values. Okay, so again for the third record also lookup SNO is null. So that is the reason again insert group condition will satisfy because SNO is null. Third record will be inserted like this. Like that, for the first time, none of the records present in the target table, for the first time for all the three records, insert group condition is satisfied and it will be inserted into the target table. So here we are doing this with three records. So in real time, if you have 30 million records also, for the first time, for all the records, insert group only will satisfy. And for the first time, all the 30 million records will be inserted inside the target table. So this is called full load. Full load means inserting all the records from source to target table is called full load. Okay, done. First time executed successfully. And after loading all the records from source to target table, this cache also will get deleted automatically. You cannot see the static cache, right? Okay, static cache you cannot see. It will be created at the beginning, automatically it will be deleted at the end. Okay, fine. Next, second one. Any questions till now? Is it clear? Are you able to follow? No answer means it's not clear. Do you want me to explain again from the beginning? Can you hear me?
Also, it's clear.
Okay, thanks for the response. Okay, so now let's say first time we have created, executed successfully. Second time we have started, before we start execute, let's say we have gotten one update here. So we will update one record in the source table. Okay, so this person has moved to USA on 9/25. Okay, so let's say today's date is September 25th and we are executing this mapping on September 25th. Okay, so this time static cache will be created with how many records?
3 records.
3 records, because the lookup table contains 3 records. So with these 3 records, the static cache will be created. So we'll have the end date also, because there is no space here. I have not copied the end date. So we'll have the effective end date also. Okay, fine. After creating the static cache with these 3 records, now the source will read the first record 10A USA. First 10 it will pass to the lookup. As soon as lookup receives 10, it will look for the matching value inside the static cache. So do we have the matching value now inside the cache? Yes, there is a matching value. As soon as the matching value found, matching value corresponding column values will be there at lookup transformation. The same values it will pass to the expression to the router. Tell me, what are the values at router transformation? What is SNO? What value we will get at SNO here?
1.
It is 1, because so it is coming from expression to this expression, it is coming from lookup to this lookup. For the matching value corresponding SNY is 1, so it is getting from static cache. That is the reason here we will get 1. And then ADDR, what is the value here?
HY.
So this is HYD, okay, which is coming from the cache. Next, ENO value coming from where?
10.
It is 10, which is coming from source 10A USA, and the system date 9/25, and this is a future date 9999 date. So these are the values at router transformation. These values, which group condition will satisfy? Insert or update?
Update.
Update condition is
Update,
satisfied.
because not is null
Not
of
is
SNU. Yeah, so
Not is
SNU
null.
we have
Yeah.
got not null, and source address not equal to the lookup address. Source address we have USA, lookup address HY, both are not equal. So that is the reason for these values update group condition will satisfy. So it will pass those values to here below update group. Got it? So for these values, update group will satisfy. Now we'll get these values here. So update. So if update group condition satisfies, then what do we have to do? We have to perform 2 steps, right? What is the first step we have to perform? We have to update the active record ended with the system date. So for that, to update the record or to update the end date column system date, now we have to create update strategy transformation. So here I have created update strategy transformation. Okay, so and then inside the update strategy we have tried dd underscore update, and which ports we have to drag and drop from update group to update strategy, can you tell me? And also we have to copy the target definition, because we cannot connect from update group to the target directly, so we have to create an instance copy of the target definition. Okay, tell me, which are the ports we have to copy from update group to update strategy? Any guess? So if you have created mapping level update else insert, lookup update else insert, you know what we have to drag and drop here.
Address 1 and EDD, EED.
Serial number and EED.
Can you repeat again?
Serial number
Yes,
and
serial number. Serial number and next what other? ESD or EED?
EED.
Okay, why not address? Why we should not take the address here? What will happen if you take the address? what will happen when if you drag and drop the address here? In SC-1 we copied address also, but here why we should not copy the address? What will happen if you copy the address?
Will update again.
Any idea?
Existing record will be updated.
What is that? Can you repeat again?
The existing record in the target table will be updated. So
You can see here we have copied the address. Why we have copied the address here? In mapping update and sensor and lookup update and sensor also in the next mapping also we copied the address. Why we copied the address? What is the purpose? Did you question yourself? Why we have taken the address? Why not other columns?
We
Why address?
have to update the address, sir.
Yeah, we have to update the address, right? So for this employee number, we have to update the address and update date in the target table. That's the reason we have taken the source address and we have connected to the target address. So whatever the source address we have got USA, that it will update in the target address column. That's the reason we have taken the address here. Okay, so source address we have taken and we have connected to the target. So because we have to take the source latest address and we have to update the address in the target table. But here, are we going to update the address here? In this scenario, are we going to update the address? Have we written anywhere that we have to update the address?
No.
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 Right? We are not going to update the address. If you are going to update the address here HYD with USA, then you will not have the historical record. You don't see the HYD address record in the target table. So that's the reason we should not take the address. So if you take the address and if you connect to the address, then it will take the source address and it will update the address here in the target table. Then we are going to lose the history. That is the reason we should not take the address. Okay. And so if there is no address, then what other column we have to take? As you mentioned, EED, right? Which one we have to copy? We have to copy ESD or EED?
ED, sir.
Okay, so if you
EED.
take EED, then what? Okay, we'll see if you take EED, what will happen. Now, serial number we have taken here, connect like this, and this is we have connected, and EED we have taken, and then we have to connect effective end date, we have to update that like that, we have connected like this. Now, what it will do for the serial number 1? Okay, so it will try to update the record for the serial number 1. What is the effective end date value here? 9999 date. So 9999 date it will pass here. The same 9999 date it will update in the target table. Now already we have 31st December 9999. So again, if you connect EED here like this, again it will try to update with the same date. Is it what we are expecting? So with what date we have to update here? Is it with the future date or is it with the system date?
System date.
So we have to update with the system date. But if you connect EED like this, then it will update the end date with the end date, this future date only. So, but we have to update the end date with the system date. So in which port we have the system date here in this update group? EED or ESD?
ESD.
So in ESD we have the system date. You should not take the EED here. If you take EED, EED contains the future date. So here we have to connect it to the EED, but while taking from the update group, we should not take the EED, we have to take the ESD, which contains the system date. Effective start date underscore O, you have to drag and drop here because that contains the system date 9/25. And then this ESD, you have to connect to EED. Okay, whatever the value we are getting, that it will pass to the EED column. It will update under EED column, right? 9/25 it will update. Now at the back it will write the update statement to update end date with the system date for serial number 1. Okay, so like that we have to take. See, this is not a programming language, this is a tool. So everything we are doing drag and dropping, setting the options. We have not written any coding here, right? But you should be careful while drag and dropping which one we have to take, what property we have to write, which transformation we have to create. These things you should know. Okay, so 9/25, 2022, like that it will update in the target table. Done, updated. Okay, first step is done. We have updated the end date with the system date to make the record as inactive. And then what is the second step? We have to insert the latest updated record into the target table. Latest updated record, here we have update group condition as satisfied. So 10A USA we have to insert into the target table here. For that, what we have to do? So we have to create a copy of the target definition. Another copy we have to create. So another copy we have to create here, and then from update group directly we have to connect. So ENO to ENO we have to connect, employee name to the employee name. Even though this is update group, if you directly connect like this, then it will insert the record. If you connect through update strategy, then it will go for update. If you connect without update strategy, directly if you connect like this, then it will insert the record into the target table. Same copy of the target definition. Okay, and then so for the next record, it should have to generate the next sequence value 4. This sequence generated already generated till 3. So if you use the same sequence generator like this, if you connect, then this sequence generator, it will generate the for the next record 4. So here it will generate 4, 10, A, USA, 9/25, and this one 31st December 9999, like that it will insert. Got it? So from update group directly we have connected serial number column, this sequence generated already generated 3. For the next record we know it will generate 4. Okay, and 10A USA 9/25/9999, from update group directly we have connected, so we have got the values like this. Is this what we are expecting here? Yes or no? Have we got the expected output? Yes. Okay, 2 times we have executed successfully, and this cache also now it is going to be deleted, and last time we'll execute and see the output. So here we do not have. Third time we'll execute. Third time before we execute, let's say this employee he moved USA to UK on September 30. So we have got this on 30th. Okay, so now assume system date is September 30. And as soon as we start execution of this mapping, this time lookup transformation will create a cache with how many records?
4 records.
4 records, because lookup table contains 4. So with these 4 records, the cache will be created. Now these 4 rows will be there inside the cache along with the end date, effective end date also will be there. After creating the cache, okay, so after creating the cache, now it will start reading the first record from the source table. So first record we have 10A UK we have. First 10 it will pass to the lookup. As soon as lookup receives 10, it will look for the matching value inside the cache. So here for one input value, how many matching records are there inside the cache? For 10 first record, how many matching values are there inside the cache?
2.
There are 2 matching records, right? So out of 2 matching records, first it will read the first matching record. Okay, So even though we have two matching records, always lookup will start reading the first matching record. So first matching record corresponding SNO is 1, and then employee name A, address HYD, ESD 921, like that. These values it will pass to the expression to the router. Now what are the values of router transformation? What is SNO?
1, 10,
1
HYD.
HYD, and this is 10 A, address which is source address UK, and this is system date 930, and this is 9999 date. So these are the values at router transformation. For these values, which group condition will satisfy? Insert or update?
Update.
Update, because not is null of SNO. SNO is not null, and the source address is UK, lookup address is HYD, both are not equal. That's the reason update group. It will pass those values to the below update group. Okay, now here we have got this to the update group. Update group, first it will go to the update strategy. Now tell me, update strategy transformation, for which record effective end date it is going to update with the system date here. So now we have two records, first record and fourth record. So which record it is going to update with the end date with the system date?
For the fourth record.
You know that it should have to update for the fourth record, but is it going to update the fourth record? What is the SNO we have got here?
10. So for the first record, it will take the
SNO we have 1 here.
Yeah.
So which record it will try to update?
1.
Right. So it will try to update the inactive record. This is the inactive record, right? So since we have got SNO 1 here, again it is trying to update the effective end date 925. Here it is going to update with 930. Is it what we are expecting?
No.
No.
No. So which record it should have to update? It should fourth record end date with the system date. Active record end date it should have to update with the system date. But it is updating the inactive record. Okay, we know which is the active record and which is the inactive record, right? We know that the first record is inactive record and the fourth record is active record, and we know that it should have to update the active record end date with the system date, but it is trying to update the inactive record. Okay, so here we know which is active and which is inactive, but how Informatica knows that which is the active record and which is the inactive record? How Informatica or how this mapping knows that it should have to update only the active record end date with the system date, not the inactive record? So have we specified anything inside the mapping to consider the record as active or inactive? We have not specified anything inside the mapping. Okay, this record is active record and this record is inactive record. We have not set any property here to update only active record end date with the system date. And that's the reason it doesn't know which record to update. That's the reason it is trying to update the inactive record. But we don't want to update the inactive record. We want to update only active record. So for that, what we have to do? Okay, assume, let's say I have deleted the inactive record from the cache. Okay, assume I have deleted the inactive record from the cache. I have only created the cache with active records, and I don't have any inactive record inside the cache. I have created the cache on only active records. So if we create a cache on active records, for each employee number, how many records will be there inside the cache? At a time, how many records will be there? Suppose, let's say for employee number 10 in the target table, if there are 100 records, out of 100, how many active and how many inactive will be there?
99 inactive and 1 is the active record.
Right. So 99 inactive, 1 active. That active record only I have taken inside the cache. 99 records I have not taken from the lookup table. So assume we have taken only active records, only 1 record. Okay. So now since the employee number 4 is active record, only we have this record inside the cache. And as soon as it receives 10, this time we have only 1 matching record here, and the matching value 10 corresponding SNO is 4. So this time we will get the values here. SNO is 4 and address is USA, right? Okay, the same SNO4 address USA, it will pass to the update strategy. So this time, which record it is going to update? Is it going to update the first record or fourth record? Which record end date will update? Fourth record. Since we have got SNO4 now, it is going to update the fourth record, which is active record. End date it will update with the system date 9/30/2022, and then since from update group directly we have connected to the target definition, it will insert here 510 A UK, and this is 9/30, and then this is 31st December 9999. So like that it will be inserted inside the target table, and for the second and third record there is no change and it will be succeeded. So after successful of the execution, you will get the output like this third time. So this is what we are expecting. To get the expected output like this inside the cache, you should not have the inactive records. You should have to create cache only with active records. Then only we will get the expected output. Otherwise, inside the cache, if you have both active and inactive records, then it will try to update the inactive record end date with the system date. We don't want inactive record to be updated. We want active record end date should be updated with the system date. So for that, to build the cache on active records, what do we have to do is inside the lookup transformation. So in the lookup transformation, we have a properties. In lookup transformation properties, we have a property to write the SQL query. So if I open the lookup transformation properties, here first property you can see lookup SQL override. Okay, so if you click on this button, you will get the SQL editor to write the SQL query. So if there is no query inside the lookup transformation, then it will create a cache all the records from the lookup table. Okay, so if there is no query here and the lookup table contains 5 records, with these 5 records it will create a cache including active and inactive. Okay, so now I don't want all the records from the lookup table. I want only active records from the lookup table. For that, we need to write a query inside the lookup transformation to select only active records from the lookup table. So if we have written a query here inside the lookup transformation properties, then whatever the result written by this query, with those records only the static cache will be created, not on all the records from the lookup table. So even though you have millions of records in the lookup table, it will not create a cache on all the millions of records. It will create a cache only on the records written by this lookup override query. So that is the reason now in this scenario, we want only active records. For that, we have to write a query like this. So we have to call it as a lookup override query. Okay, so we have to write a query like this. Select SNO as SNO. For each and every column, we have to give the alias names. ENO as ENO. Employee name as employee name. Okay, and then address as address, and then effective start date as effective start date, effective end date as effective end date, from EMD SCD2_T, where okay, so we have to write a condition effective end date greater than sys date, and at the end we have to keep hyphen. So like that we have to write a query inside the lookup transformation. So if you write a query like this, then since effective end date greater than system date you will not have the inactive records, you will have only active records. Okay, because for the end date greater than system date we have only for the active records. So it will not select the records which are in inactive. So that whatever the records written by this query active records, with those records only static cache will be created. Got it? Now you will have only these 3 records like that. Active records only will be there inside the static cache, not the inactive records. So this time we'll have for each and every employee there will be only 1 record which is active record. Then only we will get the expected output. And also here, okay, so in the select statement, currently I have selected all the columns from the lookup table. Okay, but inside the cache we no need all the columns. We need only specific columns. SNO, yes, we are taking from lookup to the expression. That's the reason we need SNO in static cache. And joining condition, we have used employee number. That's the reason we need employee number inside the static cache. And employee name, we are not using the lookup employee name anywhere. So we don't want this employee name also inside the cache. Unnecessarily, it is creating the cache on employee name. We are not using anywhere lookup employee name. We are not taking the employee name here. So we are taking only source employee name. Lookup employee name we are not using anywhere. So we no need employee name. Address, yes, we are taking the address from the lookup. We need address. Effective start date and effective end date we do no need. Okay, so from here select statement, you should have to remove employee name and effective start date, effective end date. These columns also you have to remove, so that in the cache it will create a cache with only specific columns and the specific rows. All these things will not be there in your cache. In your cache you will have only this data. So like that, it will build the cache on only these three columns. You can see small cache got created. To create the cache with less number of rows and less number of columns, it will take less time and less space to create a cache. You can see even though we have 5 records here and with 6 columns we have. Okay, so here the cache got created with specific rows and the specific columns. Like that, we have to create a cache whatever it is required. Otherwise, unnecessarily it will be taking time to execute. Okay, so like that we can create a mapping. We can write a query only serial number, employee number, address. Only these three columns you can select in the select statement. And also at the end we have to keep hyphen hyphen. This is also very important. This hyphen hyphen, why do we have to keep? If you don't keep hyphen hyphen, then what it will do? If there is no hyphen hyphen, no, then what it will do is at runtime during the execution, if you have not keep the hyphen hyphen at the end at the runtime during the execution, it will include order by all the columns, SNO, employee number, employee name, address, and then effective start date, effective end date. Like that, it will do the order by unnecessarily on all the columns. We don't want to do the order by on all the columns, right? We no need order by. Even though if you don't have the order by, our mapping will work fine. Unnecessarily it will do the order by. That is the reason if you keep hyphen hyphen at the end of the lookup query, then this order by will be commented. Commented means it is not going to execute. So that is the reason at the end of the lookup override query, always we have to keep hyphen hyphen. So if you keep hyphen hyphen, then this order by will be commented and it is not going to execute, and it will improve the performance of the query. Got it? So like that, we can write a query inside the lookup transformation so that it will build the cache on the specific rows and the columns. That's it. So like that, we can create a mapping to maintain the historical data. So 3 times we have executed and we have seen the output like this. 4th time, what you can do, you insert one more new record, execute and see. Only that 6th record should be inserted inside the target table. And for these 5 records, no insert, no update, it should not touch anything. Again, for the same employee UK, if you update with another address, okay, then so it should have to update the 5th record end date with the system date to make the record inactive. Got it? And it should not touch the 1st record and 4th record. The active record is 5th record. Again, if you update the address UK with AUS, then it should have to update the 5th record end date with the system date, and then it should have to insert the new record into the target table. Got it? So like that, 4 or 5 times the same mapping by changing the values inside the source table, by inserting the records, by updating the same record again and again, 2 or 3 times you have to execute and see whether we are getting the expected output or not. Got it? That's it. So you can practice this one today, and tomorrow I will show you this one practically. We'll execute and see. Okay. So meanwhile, you can also try to create a mapping for this. Try to remember each and every transformation and each and every logic why we have written and all. That's it. So that's all for the day. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you. Any questions? Fine then. That's it.